let me wish John Park every success in his lips recovery. Indeed, let me wish him every success in the coming election. I hope Labour set new records for second places. Let me say, however, that the contest to come is going to be an interesting one. This is a subject which is timely. It is a subject important to communities, not just in central Scotland, but right across Scotland. And I will, in my remarks, make some comments about areas outside central Scotland. I think John Park did highlight something very important in his contribution, that it isn't simply correct to focus on people, that when we look at regeneration, we have to look at the physical environment, the social environment, and indeed the economic environment. In fact, there is a complex of interlocking issues that make up the single issue that is regeneration. And it is a subject that runs through generations in far too many of our communities. And that is precisely why the Conservatives absolutely miss the point when they simply focus on the idea of workers relocating to find new work. And indeed, Norman Tibbett has been on the campaign trail in Wales this week, giving an interview once again suggesting that the on the bike phrase that he used years ago still should have a resonance. That is simplistic, inadequate and inappropriate. It is good to hear that the Labour front bench, if not necessarily the back bench, reinforced the importance of the fourth replacement crossing, not only a transport investment, but something that will create significant jobs. Lord Fowkes, I hope, remains a voice on his own. Now, regeneration is a key part of our economy. It's something that is needed just as much in rural villages and towns as it is in urban city centres. Because just as we've seen significant changes in the industrial structure of Scotland in many communities in the Central Belt, we've seen traditional industries of fishing and farming significantly change in structure, reduce the number of people who are employed, and with a range of engineering industries associated with that suffering as well. The Coalfield Regeneration Trust does for the communities it supports absolutely excellent work, and I don't think we will hear criticism of its efforts during today's debate, although we may focus on differences. But there is a Scotland beyond the Central Belt. Just yesterday, on the 23rd, Portsoy in my community was granted £500,000 from the Historic Scotland's Conservation Area Regeneration Scheme to repair historic buildings in the harbour and give people training in traditional skills. That's the kind of initiative that this government is taking. It will, of course, make the area more attractive to visitors, but it will boost the local economy, and building on traditional skills and renovation work will create, for young people in particular, key opportunities to engage in new activities. And elsewhere in my constituency, there have been successful regeneration schemes in Peterhead, £3 million spent on a townscape heritage project in Banff. And Aberdeenshire Council in August allocated a bit over £250,000 to Scottish Enterprise for regeneration projects in Banff and Buchan. So right across Scotland, regeneration is important. And that's why I very much welcome the document that the government has just published on the subject. It recognises that many of the traditional models are less viable. Reliance on debt finance for too many companies simply isn't possible, and together with difficulties in accessing land and property in the current climate, it's making overall attracting investment more difficult. We need community-led regeneration rather than the top-down approach. We need to empower our communities so that, through in particular the Scottish Government's concordat with local authorities, we can find the ways of doing things that are required in our local communities. Because each community having a stake in regeneration is what makes it work. I think in particular of a very small village in my community in Maud, where over a long-run period, and regeneration isn't a quick fix, we've seen the community engage in how they would redevelop an area that used to be the biggest most active cattle market in the whole of Scotland 50 years ago. Today, it's thriving with many different kinds of activities in a new centre, developed absolutely in cooperation with the community through a Planning for Real project, which engaged the very young and the very old. Now, I do have to say that I welcomed, as others did, the 2007 debate on coalfield regeneration. We have to wait 4 years and 2 come along on the same day. Not, I have to say, a miracle of scheduling on the part of the Labour business manager. Unlike the Minister, I have to go back a further generation to my mining ancestors. My great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather were miners in Bannockburn, among over 300 Stevensons who were miners in that community 150 years ago. The business changes, we have to respond. Regeneration will be very important. I will be supporting the government tonight.